So you remember Gerard Lemons, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So Gerard was a big part of my education in hops. I think we've talked about.
Mine as well. He was this kind of strange British guy, you know.
Yeah.
But then we got to chat, and it was kind of cool. He was in sales. We had all these great experimental hops that none of the large breweries would pay any attention to, but only a true hop lover like myself or like Gerard or like yourself could appreciate. The prevailing knowledge of bittering back then was that cohumulone drove harsh bitterness.
Yeah.
And so low cohumulone, of course, was more desirable.
Yeah. I remember I think the most impactful hop was YCR 014, and then eventually the next year getting released as Simcoe and started brewing Pliny. It's funny to think of Simcoe as a 20-year-old hop. I mean, okay, it's not as old as Cascade or, you know, Comet, some of those varieties, but 20 years is a long time.
Yeah.
And it's still, you know, got a strong following, and that's still one of my favorite hops.
Here you have this higher alpha hop with this low cohumulone, really smooth bitterness, but it was just so aromatic.
Yeah.
So pungent. It's really ironic to say now, but that was its downfall. Now that would be selected for that, but that was actually a strike against it at the time. The industry was in such a state that anything from an aromatic standpoint really didn't stand much of a chance.
Yeah. I remember a hop convention probably less than 10 years ago, hearing some pretty prominent, you know, hop industry folks saying you still got to be focused on high alpha hops. Us craft brewers were sitting in the audience saying more aroma.
You know, I think a concept like In the Lup is pretty incredible considering where we were 20 years ago. Because actually my first memory of Russian River, there was like 12 of them, I think, in my father-in-law's fridge, because he was CEO of Yakima Chief at the time, you know. And so John had all these beers that I think they were, as I recall, they're no label, but the cap was Russian River.
Yeah.
And so
probably some one-off beers given to Gerard.
Yep, he'd given them to Gerard, and then Gerard passed them on to John, and then John passed them on to me. And so we're sitting actually at a barbecue at his house, and that was my first experience drinking a Russian River beer. Was popping open there was a YCR 14 and a YCR 4.
Yeah, and 4 was
Palisade.
Palisade, yeah, I remember brewing that.
Yeah. And so that you know, so that was kind of like the early version of what In the Lup represents now. You know, it's just that kind of step above just brewing it ourselves and seeing what they do. You know, we just didn't have that back then.
This is a nice beer. Got a little Simcoe in it, a little bit of that grapefruity quality to it, but I know there's some 692, which is a hop that you and I both mutually admire a lot. Yeah. I definitely get a little bit of that pink grapefruit and a little bit of the herbal quality that I think 692 has.
Yeah, I think it's like more like a sage.
Yeah.
Or rosemary almost, you know.
That's one of the neat thing about those Neo-Mexicanos hops is how they change over time. And I'm not as familiar with 630, but I definitely get the big fruitiness from it. Then I know that's why Bale Breaker likes that hop. And really like that big fruity note to it. The hop blend is quite nice. The Bale Breaker put together, it's a super drinkable beer. Yeah. So cheers.
Cheers.